Hello, and welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Dianne Gallagher.
Every week, we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explore the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Now enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Rock the Cash Bar.
Hey, Ben.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
What day of quarantine is this for you?
Let's see. Let me check my notes. This is day 25 of quarantine for me. And you know what? They say it takes 30 days to adopt a new habit. And I have to say, I'm kind of settling into this new life that we have. It's
I am
weird.
absolutely not settling in. I don't know what day it is. I went in on March 16th. And I'm getting buggy. Like, I'm getting weird, man. Just bizarre. Like, I'm walking around the kitchen. I'm just standing outside in the yard, not doing anything. It's weird.
Do you consider yourself an extrovert?
I didn't until this. Like, I didn't realize how much I needed. Like, I've had face-to-face conversations with 10 people since this started, and I'm going nuts. Like, I went to the grocery store today, and it was like a horror movie. Like, if anybody came close to me, it was like, get back.
Oh, my gosh. Because so many of us comics are actually introverts, and I didn't realize this. They said a good way to explain it is if, we can be out there and, hold court and, have all these interactions, but we need downtime after that to recharge. That's what an introvert needs. An extrovert just gets energized by it and needs more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if we're having that same aspect where we just have so much downtime that it's just like, I feel so powerful, I'm going to explode. Like, batteries fully charged, let me out there.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm still glad we're doing this. And shout out to all the makers out there during this quarantine. Everybody like us, like artists that are obsessed with making, they're really turning it up. Even, we have fun people making podcasts, and my husband's building a tree house for my son. But then you have, these old ladies that sew that are making masks for people in hospitals to put over their N95 masks that they're having to reuse. But anyway, it feels like the makers are really doing stuff right now.
Whatever you need to do to stay sane, just keep doing it. Keep doing it, because it's real. Like, this is I've never had to make the decision to stay sane. That's just always something I took for granted, and here I am just going, I need to relax somehow.
Yeah. And also, thank you to the consumers. Not everybody's a creative maker, but thank you for listening and enjoying what the makers are making.
Or trying to enjoy what the makers are making. Just thanks for I just want to see everybody again.
I know.
That's all I want.
Well, let's do our segment. Let's do some dressed up like a douche.
Dressed up like a douche, another roller in the night, blinded by the light.
And not only did I think it was dressed up like a douche, but I thought he said dressed up like a douche, another boner in the night, which is what a douche might do. So, okay, this week's comes from my friend Lauren Johnson, who is tattletaling about her friend Jed that used to work at the same company as us. I don't think Jed listens to the podcast, but he might after he hears us talk about this. Jed used to make them laugh because he would sing the Timbaland song featuring One Republic, Too Late to Apologize. Do you know the song?
Too late to apologize.
Yep. So he thought he was saying, too late to phone a job. Why?
It's too late.
And it's like, it's too late to call in sick. I guess. I don't, if that's what he meant.
It's never too late to phone a job. There are plenty of places that are still hiring. Rent is still due. Sorry to be depressing.
Well, I think we should go ahead and get in that depressed mood for this.
I'm not so sure. I don't think this one's going to be as depressing as you think it is. I think there's more fun in this song than meets the eye, I think.
All right.
Go ahead, tell them. What are we doing today?
You want me to tell him? All right.
Yeah.
This song of the week comes with one of the best drum fills in history. We are doing In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. You know, and I've really researched, and we are really not allowed to play copywritten clips of music on this podcast. So we're gonna have to get creative. And people, if you need to stop the podcast right now and go listen to the song and then come back and be on our level, go ahead. And maybe later on, me and Ben can practice synchronizing that drum fill, you think?
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Where did you first run into In the Air Tonight? Do you even remember? Is it because I think it's something that's been with me my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it was birthed with me. It's just
Yeah,
always been there. It's been in
it,
the air.
it's in your brain. It's one of those weird songs. Just like it's the thing that everybody relates to. And again, it describes like a specific emotion. Like when you hear In the Air Tonight, like what's the first thing that you feel?
Dread, complete
Yes.
dread and despair.
Yes, absolutely. It's crazy to think about that. Like I always think of, I mean, there's so many different stories about what the song is about or how it came to be. But I mean, this song is specifically made for Game 7 of the championship series, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
when I think of In the Air Tonight, I'm just like, oh, that's the song that Phil Collins wrote about the 1994 New York Rangers drive to the Stanley Cup, man. That's what that song's about. That's Phil Collins singing about Mark Messier, the toughest, bravest man ever to come out of my hometown of Edmonton, Alberta, all of a sudden becoming king of New York. Like, that's obviously what the song is about to me. I won't listen to any other stories. No, it was clearly written about Mark Messier and the New York Rangers.
It's so menacing, and it has this like murderous feel to it too. Like I didn't, when I first heard the song, I was young. I was probably in junior high or no. I mean, it came out when I was probably 3, but the first time I was really listening to it was maybe junior high, and I wasn't really diving into the lyrics, but all I understood was he hated this person. Like
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
deeply, deeply hated this person.
Yeah, it's obviously written by a guy who was in a really, really ugly place in his mind, and it's and it had so how does that work? For like, you can play that before an NBA championship game. Like it's amazing to me to think just like this vile feeling that he contained in himself. Well, let's talk about the theories of where the song came from. Right? There's
Right.
the famous thing that Eminem kind of brought out to the fore, that it was Phil Collins had seen a man watch another man drown,
Right.
and that first man didn't do anything to help that second man, but Phil saw it and he recorded it, and by God, Phil's not going to sit still for this kind of injustice, which is crazy to think about. Like you can see it, it's sort of there, but it's not really there.
Yeah, I mean, it goes further that he hired a private detective to find the man, sent him a free ticket to his concert, shone a light on the man, and then played the song, which
Yeah,
is
like shone a
urban
light on the man
legend.
through the whole song. I want that story to be true so badly, because if it's true, that would be the most badass moment in the history of rock and roll and crime fighting.
There would be a movie.
Yeah, it's crazier than anything Crockett and Tubbs ever did.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be great. And it would definitely be a movie. And like Phil would be this hero, but unfortunately, it's so not true. And I feel really let down by Phil's answer that he's given on numerous interviews and in talk shows, that he wrote it about the anger he felt after divorcing his first wife.
It
Which
makes a
was
whole hell of a lot more sense when you go through the lyrics and you kind of hear that story. Like, I guess what was happening is Phil is on tour. Phil's the musician. He'd been married for 5 years. He was remodeling his house. While he was on tour, his wife ended up having an affair with the interior decorator. And when Phil found out about that, that caused their divorce, and also caused Phil to write this incredibly brutal song.
I like hearing her story too, because she says that, they had their second child and he left to rehearse with Genesis. And she was also taking care of a 4-year-old and 2 dogs. And she admits that she did have an affair while he was gone, but felt Collins had checked out of the marriage long before he had gone on tour. And
which I'm sure he did. He's a rock star on tour. Like, I don't think Phil's innocent in this equation.
Yeah, it sounds like definitely a little bit of column A, column B. Like this marriage just fell apart, and
Right.
She messed up, and maybe he had not been quite there as well, and still doesn't feel good when you get cheated on, though.
And all of those ugly feelings have to follow her around. Can you imagine her reaction when she hears this song?
God, do you think she's ever able to separate herself from it and then just every now and then catches herself doing the drum fill and then like, oh shit, no, this song's about me. She's like, damn, it is a good drum fill though.
He banged out some good rhythms out of this thing. That's some good heartbreak right there. I'm glad I broke that heart.
Dude, I'm kind of proud of this one actually. Do you want to get into the lyrics then? Should we break them down one by one? I'll say, before we do that, I will say this bit of history that I didn't know is that the song was just a modest hit in America when it was released in 1981, but it was used in Miami Vice, and that gave it a big kick and made it cool. And now it's associated with the trend-setting show, which I wasn't a huge fan of Miami Vice. My parents didn't watch it a lot, but I had no idea that it was in that show.
That's really what gave the song gas. It's kind of bizarre because like it was included in that like 3 years later, but that's when it first started to gather its, because it's not really a radio friendly song. Like it's hooky and everything like that, but it's really moody. Like if it hadn't been on that TV show, if it hadn't exploded across the broadcast, it never would have made it there. It's a kind of a, I don't know how to explain it. Like songs can find their way into pop culture, into your head in different ways. You know, if it's a movie soundtrack, if it's a TV show soundtrack, there's no traditional way for it to get there. But once it gets there, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
That's what makes songs so attractive and so much fun to talk about. It's like you just never know where it's gonna just catch on in the middle of everybody's brain, the way this one really does. But yeah, you want to go through the lyrics line by line with it? I wanted to tell you before, like, this is an embarrassing detail. You were talking about Genesis. I used to, when I was in school, I would have been in like 12 or 13, so 7th or 8th grade. We would play albums in art class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had Genesis's "I Can't Dance" album because my parents were huge, big Phil Collins fans. Like there was a time in my life where I thought Phil Collins was the only guy making music. And then all of a sudden I heard that he was in this band called Genesis, and they were releasing this, they had the song on MTV called "I Can't Dance." And there's this guy I grew up with, Phil Collins, who looks kind of like my Uncle Bill in a little way. But he's doing this song that I liked, that I thought was really funny, and he was sticking it to these televangelist preachers and male models and all these people that at 12 years old I thought really needed to have the wind taken out of their sails. So I loved that song and that album, and I would argue to like just to the bitter end till I was just blue in the face about whether we should be playing Genesis's "I Can't Dance" album or Nirvana's "Nevermind."
Let me guess, this is an art class with a bunch of guys wearing Jinkos.
Yeah. I mean, there was no way I was winning that argument. I only bring it up just to say, like, I'm not cool. I've never been cool. Cool is unattainable for me, and that's why I relate to Phil Collins.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Those Jinko wearing punk rock jerks were wrong, because I was able to like both, and screw those guys, posers.
Phil ain't cool, but this song is very, very cool.
All right. Do you have the lyrics in front of you too?
I do, yeah. All right, everybody knows the lyrics to this song. The first line is, of course, "I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. Until yesterday, I always thought it was "I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Hang on."
What?
I just thought it was like, it's not that. I just thought it was "I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Hang on."
Until yesterday, Ben?
Until yesterday.
I don't know why that makes me laugh. Where he's like, "I can feel it. Hang on," and he's got to like like situate himself in his chair. I've been waiting for this all my life. Oh, hang on.
Hang on.
Calling.
This epochal struggle can wait.
Oh, I love when your misheard lyrics just come through when I don't expect them. All right, he can feel it coming. Do you think what do you take away from that?
To me, it just sounds like a lyricist, just like looking for an opening line. I mean, it's a great opening line. "I can feel it coming in the air tonight." Like, it's just like, it does have that dread. It does have that what is coming. And I wonder if everybody knows the drum fill is coming. I wonder if that's like musical drummer geek, where he's just like, I have this classic coming out of nowhere thing. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get there. It's 3.5 minutes away.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that drum fill and what he had to say about it. And I'll say what he has to say about these lyrics too isn't much, that he kind of made it a point not to write them down. He wanted to sing his lyrics first and then go back and write it down. And he said he just opened his mouth and this is what came out. Kind of
Right.
stream of conscious. But he kind of knew what he was feeling, and it was this anger bubbling up. I can feel it coming. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. He says a lot of oh Lord. Is it a oh Lord like Sanford and Son, like oh Lord, stop me, oh Lord, or like oh Lord, I knew this was coming.
Exactly. It sounds so much worse for me. It's a weird song about like he's looking ahead, but he's dreading the results. Like it sounds to me like a man who knows what needs to be done, but is not sure at all of his ability to do it. You know, and it's not something he wants to do. Like whatever's about to happen is not something he like. The outcome is undecided.
Got it. Yeah.
Or at least it feels that way when Phil Collins does it. That's what all the old words are all about, at least in my mind. But then it gets like he jumps right into it where all of these legends kind of begin. The third line is, well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. But it's like, well, if you told me you were drowning. It's not. Everything else in the song is declarative. Like
right.
the speaker in this song is he has no vulnerability. Like he is here to kick ass in every single direction. Like the speaker in this song is like a weird Terminator. He's just a vengeance robot. Like he's on his way out there. This is a song that like Batman does push-ups to. You know? He's just down the floor. If you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand.
If Robocop had feelings, this is what.
We're reading Robocop's diary.
Oh my God. I would not lend a hand. It's such a that is a downright nasty thing to say to somebody. I've seen your face before, my friend. I don't know if you know who I am. He's talking to the guy his wife boned. Yeah?
Yeah, maybe. But it's like yeah, I think it could be, but I think like he's addressing his feelings. Like I really do think that I think that Phil Collins kind of went away from that whole situation, and whatever horrible things he was feeling in his gut, whatever regret, whatever shame, whatever anger, like I think it was all coming out. And when you're writing poetry, you're writing lyrics, it's not necessarily, maybe you don't have like a specific face in mind, but you have this specific feeling. Like you're just sitting there just like, I'm so angry, I'm so jealous, I just want to kill.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but Collins explains the lyric, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand, by saying it's completely symbolic, is what he says.
Yeah,
so I get it.
I take that for sure as well. But when he says, I've seen your face before, my friend, I don't know if you know who I am, I think it could be when you're fighting with your significant other for the first time. That can be when you really first get to know them.
Yeah.
Like you don't, like when everything's fine, everything's happy. Like he says, I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. It's like, this is like they may have known each other for years, but he might be telling her, like, you're about to meet the real me.
You've never seen me in Robocop mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're about to meet the person that you've turned me into. Like, I think that's scary. Because he said, like, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. Like that's what, like all of the things that couples tell each other, all of the moments that couples live through can be torn up and completely thrown away. And you become completely different people in an instant in a situation like that.
It's like on a cartoon where everything's sunny and flowery, and then like a virus or a disease hits and everything just gets clouded with black mold. Like it's like their relationship just went to shit immediately.
The storm clouds rolled in. Sometimes something can happen that changes you completely, or changes the relationship completely. And having read a little bit about it, I think that's what he's talking about. But yeah, I mean, I love thinking about it the other way. I also love thinking about him like challenging his romantic rival. Like, I mean, that's kind of got a chivalrous sort of bent to it. The guy's going to give that, he's going to give him the what for this.
Say that again, because I don't know, on my end it kind of garbled after you said the romantic rival. Say that whole line again.
He's confronting his romantic rival, which gives it kind of a chivalrous sort of bent to this song. Like
Okay.
he's coming in there in hero mode. He's coming in defense of his own heart, and
Yeah.
defending your own heart is still heroic.
Is this where the drum fill comes, or is it later?
No, I think it comes later. Yeah, it's definitely towards the end of it. But then it goes into the chorus. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. This is where this song kind of, to me, like it's building a lot of tension. Like, obviously it's dark and it's scary, but if you're coming towards the moment you've been waiting for all your life, maybe I'm taking this too dark. But when I hear that line, I always think, well, this must be the moment right before you die.
Yeah, I'm confused by this lyric because I've been waiting for this moment all my life. To me, I took it as like I always knew this was gonna happen to me. I didn't deserve happiness. I knew this was gonna fucking happen, and here it is.
Exactly. Like, like, when did you meet this woman that you got married to, who then had an affair with your interior decorator? You couldn't have been waiting for it when you were 11 or 12 years old.
He could have been
Or
just one of these kids that, some people just have this built-in "I don't deserve to be happy" thing.
what's
And
that like? That's nothing like me.
and sometimes those people unwittingly set things out to make it come true, like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You set
Um,
yourself up to fail. Like,
yep.
you go pursue your rock star fantasies and leave your wife in charge of renovating your home, and then the
Yep.
handyman.
Oopsie. Yeah, you know how we talked about last episode that assholes make really good music. And Phil was married 3 times. He's been divorced 3 times, and his last wife was 22 years younger than him. I don't know if Phil's making great decisions in his romantic life.
I don't mean to cast judgments or anything like that, but I will tell. Like, I don't think that you can make a song as brutally depressing as this one can be. As shockingly effective as this one can be, without feeling these things all the way through to your soul. And it's and that soul sometimes can get twisted, or get itself into twisted situations.
Yeah.
And Phil remembers.
I remember, don't worry.
How could I ever forget? It was the first time, the
Everybody's
last time we
we
ever
ever
met.
met.
I love that
Okay.
line. Like, I
So
remember,
go
how
ahead.
could I ever forget? It was the first time and the last time we ever met. So if he's talking, like, there's a couple of ways that you can take that. I think if he's talking to his wife, like, obviously he's met her, he's got children with her, he knows her really, really well, but he's still saying this is the first time we've ever met, and it's going to be the last time.
Yeah,
Like,
and this is the first time you've ever met Robocop Phil, and it's going to be the last time we talk. Yeah.
Robo Phil
I'm
crime
hooked on
bang.
Robocop now.
It's a little simpler. Like, if he's confronting his wife's lover, then it makes it a little simpler, but a little more stark. Like, this is the first time we've ever met. It's gonna be the last time, because only one of us is coming out of here.
Yeah. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't fool me. Do you think I'm not sure about this. Okay, so if he's talking to his wife, is she denying it, or she just can't say anything? She has nothing to say for herself.
Yeah, I think for sure. Like, it's a very one-sided conversation. Like, you never hear the speaker react to any kind of response, like any kind of emotional cue or anything that whoever he's saying this to is putting up either no fight at all, or
Mm-hmm.
they're just not present, which is kind of
Right.
the way I take it. Like, this is just a horrible dark night of a vengeful, angry soul.
Yeah. He says, "Oh no, you don't fool me.
Mm-hmm.
The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. It's no stranger to you and me."
Right. Yeah, I think that one's got to be specifically aimed at the wife. I can't. That's not a threatening thing to say to somebody that you're about to fight.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, he's coming down to and to say it's no stranger to you and me. they've been hurting. This relationship has been hurting. It hasn't been sunshine and roses and then bam, she cheated on him. It's been a
Mhm.
little bit of a struggle.
It's been a titanic struggle, I would think.
Yeah.
The hurt doesn't show, the pain it still grows. It's no stranger to you and me. That's the. Have you ever been in a relationship like that where
Oh, yeah.
you're just kind of carrying it around? It's like you're both pregnant with hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in my younger years, I really didn't know how to get out of a relationship so badly that I would let them go on 2 years past their deadline. I mean,
Yeah.
that milk was expired and I was
Hmm.
still sipping from it. And like, I think I was so young and maybe both of us just were too chicken shit to tell the other person we didn't love each other anymore.
Right.
And then, so it just led to being really nasty and doing painful things to each other.
Yeah, where you start sabotaging the relationship. You're just like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something so terrible that you have to be the one to leave me. Or
Oh,
you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to be the person who says, hey, sit down. We need to have a talk. Like you'd rather just put the landmine out there.
that's
Mm.
exactly what I did. I was such a coward. And I was like, what do I have to do to make this guy? I remember at one point saying, I'm just waiting for our next fight so I can end this. And we wouldn't fight. Like, oh, fight with me.
Fight me, you coward. You kind of just want to sit him down and just go, look, honey, I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
We've been waiting for this moment all our lives.
We've been waiting for this moment for at least the last 18 months. I mean, come on.
Well, this song is a lot like Always on My Mind, to where I feel like it has a beginning and a middle, and then it doesn't have an end, because that's kind of the last lyric until he says, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Oh Lord, over and over and over and over.
Maybe that's part of the reason why the song lives forever, because it builds all of this tension and then it's completely unresolved. Like
Yeah.
you got to make up your own end of that story. Like there's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to sit there. That and the drum fill are going to be going through your. Did you listen to any live versions of this song?
No, I didn't. Why?
Because the big guitar chord in the intro, like in the studio
Mhm.
version, it's kind of way back in the mix, and it's almost like it's just buzzing. But when Phil plays it live, it's Phil is coming for your throat with this song.
Ooh.
Like he knows that this is his big, emotional impact moment. And when that guitar crash comes down, it's the biggest, scariest crescendo that you could ever. Like it's just the soft drum beats, and then the keyboard kind of starts in, and then it's just the guitar crash.
Oh man. Do you know exactly which live version you listen to so I can YouTube it and the listeners can?
Every single one of them did
Oh,
it. Yeah,
all right.
it's the thing. It's part of it. It's part of his show. It's the highlight of his show, I think.
Oh, I'm super excited. I'm going to do that as soon as we're done here.
That it's scary. Phil Collins, crime fighter, is coming for your ass.
He's a
Phil
little
was
guy.
That's what makes the song so much fun. Like, did you see it? It's in a Cadbury's cream egg commercial, and have you seen it?
No.
There's a Cadbury. You can Google it. There's a Cadbury's cream egg commercial it's just a gorilla behind a drum set, and they're playing In the Air Tonight, and the gorilla just bangs away at the drums, and that's it. And then it just cuts to a shot of a Cadbury's chocolate bar. That could never happen. Like this song pops up, like obviously it's in The Hangover where Mike Tyson does the drum fill and then knocks out Zach Galifianakis, right? Is it
Right.
Zach? No, he knocked out Ed Helms.
Right.
Whatever. It's like, I think part of what makes this song fun is that it has to be Phil Collins singing it. Like it has to be this moon-faced English schlub to build tension in the song, because the song lyrics are so brutal and so deadly. You need Phil Collins' muted presence in order to build the tension. Like if this song was in somebody else's hands, like can you imagine the Bowie version of this song? Bowie's not lethal. He's not a killer. But if Bowie was singing this song, it would only be straight up scary. Like there's no way that Mike Tyson would be knocking anybody out to a Bowie song about this level of vengeance, because it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, it would be super dark. Yeah, we were talking about this, like this song in the hands of other bands and how it could be darker and deeper or just fucking ruined. Like I said, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
They would just
Tommy Lee doing
glam
that
rock
drum
it
line.
up with all the unnecessary screaming, high-pitched screaming. The
It would be
drum
lost.
fill would be a drum solo that went on forever.
Mm-hmm. It has to be Phil, because Phil going into battle naturally creates tension. Like Phil Collins walking into a fight with anybody, who is Phil Collins going to be favored against? Like nobody. Phil Collins
Nobody.
can't. Yeah, he can't go to battle. That's the weirdest thing, that this guy, you just to look at, just to see him behind the drums, pounding those skins and bleeding this out from the bottom of his heart. It feels like impotent rage. It has to be impotent rage, because if this was like a final like kill song, like if Axl Rose did this, be like, Axl is going to kill a man,
Right.
and you wouldn't be able to identify it, because you're not able to achieve that level of menace.
Yeah, and Phil also kind of has that serial killer vibe to him. You know what I,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the song doesn't end because he's still premeditating this murder.
Yeah. Still water runs deep. That's
Ooh.
why he's always singing about homeless people. he's got to show that he's still caring somehow or another. But
Yeah,
the song, like, it's legitimately frightening. Like, I think part of the reason why everybody's so fascinated with it is because the song is literally disturbing, and
it's
the only reason,
spooky.
because he's gonna lose. That's why they play it before sports games. Like, if it was if
Mm.
it was anybody, really any other rock star that you can think of other than Phil, it wouldn't be able to build the way that it does, because you don't trust that whatever conflict Phil is going into, he's going to be able to carry the day.
I do want more interviews with that first wife. She said that Phil Collins became unhinged when he left for Vancouver. When she left for Vancouver to get away from him, she said he would call constantly, and when I'd answer, he'd instantly start raging, calling her names, telling her to come home. And then he turned up unexpectedly a couple of times. She said he didn't realize he was just driving me further away. So
Yep.
sounds like he had a little bit crazy in him.
That it makes a whole lot of sense, because in the
Mm-hmm.
air, like when you listen to the rest of the music that Phil Collins is famous for, it's really sensitive, kind of milk toasty stuff. But this song is raw and visceral and difficult to digest, and it just sits right on your heart in a way that the rest of his songs just don't. So it almost feels like here's a guy who went through this very real, very destructive moment, and then spent the rest of his life trying to write songs that were going to make up for the damage that those emotions caused.
I didn't listen to any other songs, I don't think, on this album. It was released on the album called Face Value. And there was a follow-up hit called I Missed Again. And at one time, they said these songs were intended to be messages to his first wife in an attempt to lure her back in. Pretty much all the songs on this Face Value album. Are
Oh
you
yeah.
familiar with the album?
No, not really. But I read a couple of stories of things that because he was, apparently it was the interior decorator that she was sleeping with,
Mm-hmm.
and he was on Top of the Pops, the English, basically MTV, hour variety show or whatever. And while he was on Top of the Pops, he found a paint can and a paintbrush that he set up on his keyboard. Well, the article I read said he was playing the keyboard. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
come on, Phil Collins plays the drums on In the Air Tonight. But apparently he's got the paint bucket and the paintbrush, and apparently that was a direct message to his wife saying,
Right.
you can wipe off that grin because I know where you've been.
Should we try the do? I don't know if that's gonna be super loud on my mic here.
I'm ready to try the do. What are you going to do your drum line with?
Just the only thing I have is the table in front of me. Do you have something special?
Well, yeah, I can only be myself, so I'm going to try mine with empty bottles of Jack Daniels and Hunter Thompson novels.
Ooh.
Are
So
we
is
ready?
it boom, 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 chick, chick? Is that
As far as I know, not the musician. I have no idea. First time ever drumming live. Here we go.
one?
Yeah.
Here,
It's about like
do it
that.
again. Do it again. I'm gonna do it with you again.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3. We're a mess.
What are you talking about? I think we nailed it.
Oh man, that's really funny.
Did you watch the Miami Vice scene for this debuts?
No, I'm gonna have to. I'm making notes here. I'm gonna have to watch the Miami Vice scene, and then I have to go watch a live version.
Oh, it's fantastic. The detectives are in their car and they're off to meet their certain fate. and the song starts in with the keyboards and then that guitar crunch. And Tubbs looks over at Crockett, but Crockett is too busy watching the road ahead as Tubbs starts to load his pistol. And then Crockett asks, how much time do we have left? And Tubbs says 25 minutes. So Crockett pulls over to the side of the road and he goes to a payphone and he calls his estranged wife who's at home taking care of their kids. And he asks her just like, hey, when we were together, not like the past couple of years, but when we were together and it was good, was that real? And she says, yeah, that was very real. And then he tells her, she says, Crockett, what's wrong? And he says, nothing, baby, or something like that. And then just hangs up the phone and then walks off to go confront those drug dealers. So it's
God.
Like it straight up comes out of it just a cataclysm.
Oh my God. This is so exciting. And so all the viewers were like, oh, what's that song? Or like, oh, I've heard that song.
Yeah, what's that song about hatred and vengeance that's going to make her admit that she loves me again? Like, oh, I don't think that's how it works.
Ooh.
But I'm like I think what's kind of at the center of this song for me is Phil Collins' perceived weakness. Like I said, like in the hands of a guy who you think of as stronger, the song's not going to have the sensitivity. It's not going to be the real kick in the teeth that it turns into. It's
right.
like Phil is he's taking a huge risk because he knows he's Phil Collins. He knows the way he looks and the way he's perceived.
Right.
And he's going to come out and spew these flame-throwing lyrics about a man in an absolute spiral of vengeance and aggression. And he's got to know that he doesn't have the kind of physicality to pull that off. But he went ahead and did it anyway, and he failed. like this song wouldn't be in The Hangover. It wouldn't be in Cadbury's commercials. It wouldn't be the punchline that it is if Phil didn't look so ridiculous doing it. But he does. Like it's this weird moment where like Phil Collins failed in writing this song, but the song succeeds. Like the thing that the artist put out there is obviously a rolling success. It's the thing that we think of when we think of dread and challenge and even opportunity. It wouldn't work that way. Like you couldn't, like if Bowie did it, that's not going to work that way because Bowie's going to win. Bowie's going to win.
Oh yeah.
Iggy Pop's going to win.
Yeah, and it's sad. You're being like, Phil, ain't nobody afraid of you.
Like we understand these feelings of futility, Phil. We all feel them, and that's why we need to bury them by using this song in sports montages.
Yes.
We can hide it in there.
Before we move away from the song, I have to do this. Hold on. Do you have any more to say about it before I move on to something Phil Collins related, but not specific to this song?
I'll move on to anything Phil Collins related.
Are you aware of his complete fascination with the Alamo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
So my husband, Corbin, is another person who is extremely fascinated with the Alamo. We have been to San Antonio many times. He has made sure my son knows everything about the Alamo. And he's the one that first told me that Phil Collins has collected hundreds of artifacts related to the Alamo. He wrote a book about it.
Yeah, it's the world's largest private collection of Alamo artifacts is what he has.
A guy that grew up in London and lives in Switzerland and is obsessed with our Texas independence battle for some reason. It's so weird to me.
It makes a certain amount of sense because he's an English musician, right? And he's an English rock musician. So all of those guys were taking their cues from American, blues musicians and early rock musicians. So like having a fascination with the American West or the American South, I think kind of follows
that
suit.
seems to be a thing. Our friend Sarah Talamash, her dad, they're from South Africa, and he was always obsessed with Texas and the cowboy lifestyle. Yep. And that's why he wanted to come and live in Texas. Like a lot of people were obsessed with like this Wild West Texas lifestyle.
My dad's from Northern Ireland, and he was a big blues fan. As a lot of English guys were. Like Eric Clapton and all those guys were super deep into it. So they pass it along to a generation of guys, and you latch onto it. And if you're Phil Collins and you've got millions upon millions of dollars, and you find like he could have just been on tour in San Antonio or anywhere in Texas and just, you know, found a pistol or a Bowie knife or something, and that just is just the tipping point. Like, I can hold this, I can touch it. Like, I feel the same way. My family's from England. When I go back over there, I'm not really into like knights and medieval history and things like that, but as soon as I see an English castle, like, I want to touch it, I want to stand on it, I want to imagine the people that were there, because it's foreign to me.
Yeah, I guess so. This was like it had to have been very, very foreign to his growing up, this, you know,
Yeah.
Texas Mexican battle.
Mhm.
Have you been to the Alamo recently or in a while?
Not in the last 15 years, no.
Okay, so this
Mm.
is new. So you keep this in mind next time you go. There are these, let's see, 8 of them, I think. There are these bronze panels. They're like these tables you can walk up to, and it's 8 of them. It's these bronze panels that show the how the site of the Alamo had changed over the years, like what it started off as the mission, and then, you know, what it became over the years. It's a progression. And
Mhm.
Phil Collins is the one that commissioned the artist to do that, and it was like really, really expensive, and he paid for it basically. So
Wow.
thank you, Phil.
Mhm.
Next time you're in San Antonio and they're right up front, everybody sees them and looks at them, just say thank you, Phil Collins, for this.
Mhm.
It's really weird. Oh, and one last thing. Collins was named an admiral in the Texas Navy, an honorary designation bestowed by former Governor Rick Perry.
Ah. I salute you, Admiral Phil Collins.
Oh,
That's better than anything the Queen could give you.
it's fun. It's just so fun to have this connection of Phil Collins to us here in Texas.
It's also just like the famous story of, I was watching a man drown, and or I was watching another man watch another man drown. It's just not there. It's just not in the text. It's,
It's
well, if
not
you
at
told me
all.
you were drowning, it's entirely hypothetical. It's totally imagined. It just doesn't exist, as badly as I want that story to be true.
It's really
Like,
good fodder for the urban myth, though.
mm-hmm. It's Phil Collins, crime fighter. Like, can you imagine that guy? Like, he's got the light on him through the whole like 7-minute live version of the song. The audience hears that drum fill for the first time, and Phil starts melting down, singing the chorus all over and over and over again. And then he just like finishes up and just bellows like, "Arrest that man!"
And points. Like,
Yeah.
I like how as the song is going, people are like, where is he shining the spotlight? And then like slowly the whole audience is staring at this dope with his popcorn. Like, oh shit. I totally forgot about that.
What's the charge, Admiral Collins? Failure to render aid. Oh.
The guy was just like, I couldn't swim, and I thought he'd pull me down with him. I'm so sorry. So, guilty pleasure song. Do you have one ready?
Oh, yes, I do.
Guilty pleasures.
And it's a guilty pleasure song, but it's a song that I would back up to the end of it, and maybe one day we'll do it. I don't know how you feel about it, but I have no. Okay, it's my guilty pleasure song, because I know I'm supposed to feel guilty about it, but I don't. It's "Tub Thumpin'" by Chumbawamba.
Oh my god!
I like that song. I enjoy it. I was still enjoying it when it finally died out in 1998 or 99 or whatever it was. But I still turned it up. Still liked it.
I need
Never
you to
got sick
sing
of
a
it.
piece of it. I need you to sing a little piece of it for everybody.
I really like the lyrics. The chorus is kind of in the background. The pissing the night away, pissing the night away.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we were on the same wavelength, because my guilty pleasure song comes around maybe the same time. The late 90s had some real shit going on. I mean,
Real dark time, yeah.
so mine, and honestly, this is a very popular song, kind of the same way Tub Thumping was,
Mm-hmm.
but mine is Amber by 311.
Oh, I don't know. I know that one.
Whoa, Amber is
Oh God! Of course I do. No, you should feel guilty about that.
So listen, I know I should. Like bunch of white dudes from Omaha, Nebraska doing reggae rock, that should never settle well with anyone. It's completely cringy and eye-rolling, but something about that song. Okay, you remember Carly Baker, comedian from
Yeah.
Lapsop?
Mm-hmm.
She described a good feeling once as taking a cup of warm oil and pouring it down the back of your head, which sounds like a mess, but it also, like, you understand how it kind of just like feels good and soothing.
Yeah.
And that's how
Mhm.
I describe how this song makes me feel. Like that, like, and it just makes me want to like sit on the beach and have a pina colada, I guess.
Yeah. Hmm. That's definitely cracking a bunch of Bud Lights with your besties and their girlfriends. That's a real beach house song. I don't know. It has specific memories or a specific place that it only needs to live from now on out. It's got to live just with people our age. It doesn't need to be played anymore.
Yeah, no, you're right. And every now and then I listen to that 90s station on my Sirius XM, and if I'm in the car alone and that song comes on, I'm gonna turn it up, and I'm gonna, if it's a nice day, I'm gonna roll down the windows. I'm just gonna have myself a nice little private moment with it.
It's the right thing to do. Never be ashamed of it. I'm sorry I told you to be.
Guilty pleasures.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything we need to cover, Ben. What do you think about this episode?
I think so. This song is straight up existential dread. I'm beginning to think that you're planning these. Like, this is in the air tonight. It's kind of, I think we're all feeling that right now. Like, we're recording this, it's dusk. Like, if you open your front door and go out and look at that empty world and listen to In the Air Tonight, it's going to be a very, very creepy evening for you and yours.
Well, I did not think about this until just now, but just recently during this quarantine in the last couple of days, they've told us they now want us to wear masks outside, and this disease is a little more spreadable than we thought as far as like aerosols go, and it's not just big droplets. And so In the Air Tonight is very fitting for the time.
So I hope you had a good time. Sorry to do this to you. Keep your head up, stay sane, however you're doing it. You're going to be fine. I believe in you.
Well, and also we'll go ahead and tell the people now, we've had some sad songs, but next week we're going to come at you with something a little happy, and that's all we're going to say about it.
Deal. Rock the cash bar. Rock the cash bar.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Rock the Cash Bar. Tune in every Monday to find out the new song of the week. Send us an email at rockthecashbarpodcast@gmail.com and tell us your personal misheard lyrics so we can read them on the podcast. You can also reach us at Twitter and Instagram at Rock the Cash Bar Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast or wherever this podcast was downloaded.